What's up? Welcome to Developer Semicolon. In today's video, you will learn how to install NPM modules and call an API. I will inhale a lot of air. And Jet the editor will give me a very funky Christmas hat at some point in this video. Enjoy. Oh wait. In today's video, you will also be able to find two hidden Wix Studio codes somewhere in the video, I'm not sure where, that will give you access to Wix Studio for a whole year, something worth a lot of money. Now it won't be easy, so make sure that you watch through the whole video and look very carefully, and you might be the lucky person to put the clues together and get your code. And that's why you should like, subscribe, and comment on this video if you're the one that found the codes. And now, enjoy. I want to teach you how you can work with APIs in Wix Studio. Why? Because it gives you so much more flexibility as a developer to be able to craft your own website, your personalized website, the website that you really want. Now, today we're going to be working with the holiday API in Node.js. Now, this API essentially allows me to fetch the types of holidays that occur within a year for a specific country. Now, I'm going to be working with Great Britain here, or the United Kingdom, that's where I live. And the idea is that on a specific day, Christmas Eve in this example, or Christmas Day, or Boxing Day, I want to be able to change my logo on the site. Not just a simple logo, but a logo to be themed for Christmas. So a logo that obviously has a Christmas hat. Now, I've made these logos prior to the video. This is the simple logo, and this is the logo with the Santa hat. Very cute. And essentially, we're going to write some code to recognize that today is the day that it should display this new logo, and then actually have it amended on the page dynamically without us having to interfere with the website and do it manually, because we don't want to do that, because we are developers, we are engineers, and we find solutions to do things without having to do things. Right? Right. How do we get started with this? Well, it's very simple. We go to Wix Studio, and here I have a very basic website that I've created. This is actually my marketing agency website. And if we view the website and preview it, you can see that I have this normal logo at the top, and essentially there is nothing else. This is my logo right here. How do we go about changing everything? Well, first of all, we go into our code snippet. And what do we need? Well, we need to install the API. And we can install the API under packages and apps as an NPM module. So let's just go and install an NPM package. It's called the Holiday API. And this is the first one, official Node.js library for Holiday API. And we go ahead and install it. Now, once that has finished installing, we'll have it available right here, and you can see it. And the next thing I need to do is actually create a backend file where we're going to call this API and fetch the relevant data. So I'm going to go into backend and public, and I'm going to create a new web module. And I'm going to call it Christmas logo. Now, what you can see is this creates a new WebJS file that we can edit. This commented out code is not necessarily important. What is important is this import that we get here and this example function that we're going to use to our advantage. Now, the next thing we need to do to actually start working with this API and this module is actually import the module into the file. So we can import, and we have a specific function called Holiday API. As you can see, it pops up because it recognizes that this package is there. Then we can just use this function already given to us, change the name of it to fetch holiday. And instead of passing in parameters or arguments into this function and returning the calculation that they initially did, we need to write our own functionality. Now, because we're going to be fetching an API, this is going to be an asynchronous function. So let's declare that, async function. And inside, we're going to put all our logic. In order to use this API, you need to provide the key for this API. Now, you can get the key for this API by just going onto the Holidays API website and just creating an account, and they'll issue you a key. Now, I've got my key. I'm going to put it here. Now, before anyone says, oh, you're publishing your key, I've already rotated this key by the time you watch the video, so it's going to be invalid. So you're not going to be able to do anything with it. So first of all, we import the key, and then we initialize the function. And inside of here, we pass our key. And this is how we initialize our function. Now, the next thing I'm going to declare Because there is a limitation with this holiday API, they only allow you to use the API results from the previous year, so nothing current. So we're going to be working as if we were last year, so in 2023. That's the kind of results that we're going to get. So rather than calling the date dynamically, like with JavaScript, I'm just going to specify a static date that's going to exist so we can check against it and just to make sure this functionality works and you can actually visualize it. So I'm going to create a constant called date, and I'll say that it's 2023, and then the 12th of the 25th, for example. So this is going to be Christmas Day. Now, because we're working with an API, we need to follow the best practices for JavaScript. So we need to wrap it in a try and catch statement. So let's initialize the try statement. So that's, we're going to be calling try, and then we're going to be catching any errors that actually occur. And we can pass in the error here, like so. And then we can just console log the error. And then inside the try, this is where we're going to be working with the actual logic for this API. Now we're going to create a new constant called a response. So this is where our response is going to be stored in this variable. And essentially because it's an asynchronous function, we have to await for its result. And we're going to call the holiday API dot holidays, days. And as part of it, because we're calling and fetching all the holidays, we need to pass in, well, we're essentially calling the holidays for the country, which is Great Britain, and the year, which is 2023. And now if I console log this response, you'll see that we actually call the API. Now, how do we call this API and see the result of it? Well, this is a backend file, so we need to essentially call it in the Wix frontend. How do we do that? Well, if we go into the page code, we have a master page.js file. And inside this file, we actually need to import that function that calls the API and then run the function. So if we import and a reference to this function, it's called fetch holiday. This is the one we're referring to. So if we import fetch holiday from, now we need to path of how we can get to the backend file. Well, it's in the backend / whatever we called it. And what we called it is xmaslogo.web.js. So xmaslogo.web.js, like here. And then this function just needs to be called when the application is ready. And then if I run this, once the page loads, what you'll see in this console is the console log of the response. Now the response under holidays, which is an array of all the holidays that happen to be in the UK. And if I scroll down to the bottom, you'll see that we have the holidays of New Year's Eve, Boxing Day, Christmas Day, and so on and so forth. Now, for each specific holiday, we get a bunch of different properties that we can refer to. One of them is the name of the holiday, and the other one is the actual date of the holiday. And those will be important for when we actually create our if statement. So let's go back to editing the site. And what do we need to do next? Well, we actually need to implement some functionality to be able to see if the day we are declaring, usually this would be today's date. In this case, we have a static date because we want to just see the functionality of the 2nd of December. And we want to see if this date falls in the array of the holidays that we're referring to. And if it does, then we render the logo appropriately. We will be referring to the holiday season. That's why we're going to render the logo with the Christmas hat. Now, what's the functionality going to be? Well, I'm going to create another variable called holiday. And this variable is going to hold whether the array contains or does not contain this date of the holidays. And here we just refer back to the response. So the response.holidays, this is the array of the holidays that we currently are going to iterate over. And then I'm going to use a function that's inbuilt into JavaScript called find. We're going to iterate over each holiday. And for each holiday, we're going to make sure that the holiday.date, so that's the first property that we're referring to in that object, is equal to the date we have declared here, the date we're looking for, which is the 2nd of December. And now, based on this, we can create an if statement to say if holiday, and this means that this array, it will find it, so it will return true. If it's true, then we want to console log today's, if I can type, today's holiday, oh my God, is, and then we can pass in the holiday.name. That's the second property we're referring to. And then if that's the case, we return true. We do an else. So if that's not the case, then we console log no holidays found on this date. Full stop. And we return false. So now if we actually go ahead and we run this function, what should we notice? Well, we've declared the 2nd of December it shouldn't be part of the holidays in our array. And exactly like I said, there's no holidays found on this date. But if I go back to editing the site and I'll change the date to the 25th of December, which is Christmas Day, and I rerun this code, what you will notice is that once the page loads, today's holiday is Christmas Day. So it works. So what is the last and final thing that we actually need to do? Well, now we actually need to do the functionality. So change the image based on this result. How do we do that? Let me show you. Well, this code that we have written right here is essentially what's telling us what's supposed to happen with the logo. Either we return true and we show the holiday logo, or we return false and it remains the same. Now, I'm very OCD, so let's clean up this code like so and make it all nice. Perfect. And realistically, the changes that we have to make is in the master page.js file. This function now returns true or false. So we need to store that in a variable. So let's call it const is Xmas, so it's Christmas, equals fetch holiday. So now X Christmas is either going to be true or false. And then we just need to do a very simple if statement. If is Xmas, so if it's Christmas and it's true, then what do we do? Well, we need to reference the image that we want to change. Now, each website is made up of the DOM, all different types of elements put together to make the website. Now, an image element has many properties. One of those properties is SRC, so the source of the image, which is the URL of that image. So in order to reference this website and actually change the source, we need to reference this specific image. And we can do so in Wix Studio by referencing its ID. Now in this case, when I click and highlight the logo, you'll see that it has an ID of image1. Well, we want to change that to logo, just so it's more understandable for us. And then here inside of this if statement, we want to do a $W, and inside this declaration, we're going to reference the ID, so the logo. And then here we're going to reference one of the properties of this element, which is the source, and that's going to be equal to, well, a specific URL, the URL of the image that we want to change it to. But you might be asking, where is the URL? How do I get the URL? It's actually very simple. When you're working with the images inside Wix Studio, underneath your media, you can go onto your site files. And inside my logo folder, because that's where I stored it, I have both of the images. I have the Mensoy logo without the Christmas hat and the Mensoy logo with the Christmas hat. I can just click on the image, I can go onto file info, and I can copy the URL of that image. And if I just go back, I'll create a constant called logo, and I'm just going to pass in the URL. So this is our normal logo, and I'll create a constant logo X Christmas. And here we're going to pass in the other logo. So let me go back to the media, site files, logos, click on that Mensoy Christmas one, copy its URL, and essentially paste it here. Now we have these two logos, and realistically now, whenever it's Christmas, well, I want to change the source code to the logo Xmas. Realistically, this URL is not necessary because we're never going to use it because we already have that image in the place. If we didn't have the image and we wanted to insert the image, then we might need it, but I'm just going to delete it. I just wanted to show you that that URL actually differs. So now that we have this functionality, well, I just think the last thing to do is to run and to see if this logo becomes Christmas. So let's run it. Let's zoom in. Waiting. There we go, and that's it. We have the amazing Christmas logo. How cool is that? Now, if we try alter the date to, let's say, like the 2nd of December, well, and we run it, what are we going to hope for? Well, we're going to hope that this doesn't change, but it did. Oh my God. If you noticed that and you knew that it's going to change because you knew there is a mistake in the code, if you found it, give this video a thumbs up. Now, let me show you, and let this be a lesson, what you have to do. Well, the reason that actually happened is because we're working here with an asynchronous call. If we're calling an API here asynchronously, when we declare it in our master page file, well, we need to make this function asynchronous as well. If I just make this function async and we await for this fetch holiday right here, well, now if we run it, it shouldn't actually change. Well, the reason for that is previously when we ran it, it probably didn't know the value, so it just returned the promise and it actually went through the function call in the if statement and it said, yeah, okay, because it isn't a false, so I'm going to go through it. In this case, it does return a true or a false, and we get the right result. Now, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. I hope you now understand how to work with APIs in Wix, how to work with NPM modules and install them, and how to change elements, or in this case, images dynamically based on a specific output of an API call or anything else that you might do in the backend. Now, if you did enjoy this video, make sure you smash the thumbs up button, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment down below. If you guys remember, there were codes in this video. At this moment in time, you probably missed 2 of them because they're quite difficult to find. We're not gonna make it easy because it's a whole year of Wix Studio for free. So it's only to the real soldiers that watch for the video, they'll get it. Anyhow, I'll see you in the next one.